The Senate's failure to pass the Save America Act is not just another Washington disappointment. It may be, indeed, one of the most defining failures of Republican leadership heading into the 2026 midterm elections. The House did its job. A version of the legislation passed. The Senate took up the Save America Act, the legislative vehicle known as S1383. When it came to time to break the filibuster to advance the voter ID provision, the effort failed 53 to 47. 7 votes short of the 60 needed. Now, at that is the point that ought to make every Republican voter angry. The American people didn't send Republicans back to Washington simply to win a few procedural votes, to hold a few speeches, and then explain why the thing they promised could not be done. They sent them there to govern. The central idea of the SAVE Act is not complicated at all. American elections should be decided by American citizens. If you are registering to vote in a federal election, you should be able to provide proof that you are a citizen. When you vote, you should show ID. States should have the tools to clean non-citizens from voter rolls. And election officials who knowingly ignore those requirements should face consequences, like jail time. This should not be controversial. It's common sense. Now, the left is going to call it voter suppression. They'll claim that it's impossible to ask Americans to prove who they are, but every adult American knows that that is nonsense, absolute nonsense. You need identification to board an airplane, to cash a check. I know people don't cash checks anymore. Obtain government benefits, rent a car, buy certain medicines, enter federal buildings, and 100 other things, including to buy groceries at Mondami's grocery stores in New York. You need an ID. Yeah, crazy. So when it comes to voting, the one right that determines who runs the country, we're supposed to pretend that verification is somehow cruel. No, voting is way too important not to verify. Now, I want to make another important distinction. Republicans should not punish senators who supported the SAVE Act simply because the leadership failed. Okay. If a senator stood up, voted yes, made the case, that senator did his or her part. The responsibility belongs with the Democrats who opposed the election safeguards and with Republican leadership that failed to build pressure, the unity, and the strategy necessary to win, and the 4 Republicans that sided with the Democrats. But let's be honest. There are Republicans who always seem to arrive at the same place as the left when the fight gets difficult. They may use more polite language. They may call it institutionalism. They may say that it is protecting norms or guarding the Senate. But if the result is that Democrats can stop every serious conservative reform while Republicans control Washington, then voters have every right to ask what that Republican majority is actually for. John Thune and Senate Republicans need to understand something. Voters are watching. The midterms are not going to be decided only by the price of groceries, the border, crime, or foreign policy. They will also be decided by whether Republican voters believe their own party is willing to fight for the mandate that was given. And right now, a lot of people are looking at the SAVE Act and asking a very basic question. If Republicans can't secure the ballot when they have the House, the Senate, and the White House, what exactly will they fight for? And that frustration for us folks is legit. The SAVE Act is now, for all intent and purposes, dead for the 2026 election. Congress did not move at the necessary speed to pass it, implement it, and have the states prepare for a nationwide change before Americans vote in November. The Senate may hold another vote. There may be another amendment. There may be more speeches, but unless something close to a legislative miracle happens, the law will not be in place in time to protect the coming midterms. That's the bad news. The good news is that the issue is not dead. The current Congress ends in January of 2027. In the next Congress, the SAVE Act can be reintroduced immediately. The House can pass it again, if they have a majority. The Senate can take it up again. And the political environment may be very different if Republican voters make election integrity a clear, non-negotiable demand in 2026. And that's where the real work begins. Republicans can't just say, we tried. They have to make candidates tell voters exactly where they stand before Election Day. Do you support requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections? Yes or no? Do you support requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections? Do you support photo ID at the polls? Yes or no? Do you support giving states the information necessary to remove non-citizens from voter rolls? Yes or no? Do you support allowing Democrats to use the filibuster to kill every election integrity reform? Yes or no? No vague answers, no campaign season fog. No, I support the election, but no, none of that stuff. The but is where the country gets sold out. And if a Republican senator cannot give a straight answer, then conservative voters need to find someone who will. And that doesn't mean treating every disagreement as betrayal. No, it does mean, it doesn't mean destroying good senators who voted for the bill. It means using the lawful power voters already have, okay? Primaries, state party conventions, endorsements, donor pressure, local party resolutions, public scorecards, and a refusal to hand automatic renomination to people who campaign as conservatives and govern as blockers. That's how you maneuver around Republican senators who repeatedly side with the left on votes that matter. You don't have to yell at them forever. You just replace them with people who will keep their word. There are also things Republicans can do outside Washington. State legislatures don't have to wait for the Senate. States can require voter ID. So everybody's looking at Washington and looking at the senators, and it's frustrating. It is. But you know what? States can require ID. Florida can, Georgia can, Montana can, Kansas, Nevada, Massachusetts. The individual states can require that. States can improve citizenship verification at registration. They can. States can clean voter rolls within the law. States can require strong chain of custody rules for ballots, tighten ballot harvesting rules where it is legal to do so, and make sure that their local election officials are accountable to the public. Florida, my state here, Florida has shown that election security and smooth elections are not the opposite. You can make voting accessible for eligible citizens while making cheating, non-citizen voting, and administrative sloppiness more difficult. Not that it doesn't happen. That ought to be the Republican answer until Congress acts. Secure every state that you can secure. Pass the strongest lawful state protections you can pass, and build a Senate majority that cannot be stopped by a handful of Republicans joining a united Democratic caucus. Now let's talk about the 50-vote hurdle. Excuse me. A little 7 weeks coffee. The filibuster is not carved into the Constitution. Now that's something that's a whole other subject, the filibuster. The filibuster is not part of the Constitution. It's a Senate rule. Republicans have treated it as sacred when Democrats used it to stop Republican priorities. even while Democrats have repeatedly shown that they weaken or discard norms whenever the norms stand in their way. And I'm not saying change the Senate rules is cost-free, because it's not. A lot of people are screaming, they need to get rid of the filibuster. Oh, yeah, okay, but there's something on the other side of that. A simple majority Senate can cut both ways, and it will. But Republicans can't keep pretending that they are running a system in which both parties play by the same rules. The left has already shown us what they'll do when they have the votes. So, in the next Congress, Republicans need an honest debate. Is requiring American citizenship to vote important enough to reform Senate procedures? If the answer is no, then they need to explain why. If the answer is yes, then they need to prepare for that fight before the election, not after the bill dies on the Senate floor. The worst possible outcome would be for Republicans to use the SAVE Act failure as a fundraising email and then quietly move on. Now, this must become a test for Senate leadership, a test for Republican candidates, a test for every senator who says he or she supports an election integrity, but refuses to do what is necessary to make it law. President Trump has been right to press the issue. Republican voters did not elect a Republican majority to move to the center by defying the people who put them in office. They did not elect Republicans to make peace with an open border, no ID, no verification election system. They elected them to restore sanity. American elections are for American citizens, and that's not extreme. That is the minimum standard of a self-governing nation. Now, the SAVE Act may be dead for 2026, but the fight for it should be reborn immediately after the midterms with stronger candidates, a clearer mandate, and a Republican Party finally prepared to finish what it started. Because if Republicans cannot protect the integrity of the ballot, then everything else they promise rests on sand. Now, the Senate officially recorded a 53-47 cloture vote on the voter ID amendment tied to Senate Bill 1383. And the bill's text includes citizenship verification, photo ID, voter roll, and enforcement provisions. Now, I'm going to put that link in the description box. There's also a link to the Save America Act on the Fight Back Media website, fightbackmedia.com website. You can go and you can read it yourself. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people say a lot of things, but the best thing that you can do is go read it yourself. Because it's written in English. It's not written in a lot of legalese. You can actually understand what it says. And then decide for yourself. And then find out if your Congress critter, your Senate snake, is down with what it says. And even if it doesn't happen this time, keep the pressure on. Heck, use those very same words, those very same documents on your state Senate and your state House. If voter ID voter ID and registration verification isn't, what you do in your state. You can fix it. We can fix it. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. Remember, subscribe and share. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.